Alright, so I want to talk about a recent interaction I've had that is not the only interaction I've had like this and why it bothers me personally. So, I have noticed a disturbing and increasing trend of some other transgender people. I myself am transgender, by the way. I've noticed some other transgender people are lumping together people who did not vote, so the 1/3 of Americans who did not vote, in with the people who voted for Trump. And this is really disturbing to see. And I at first was only seeing that from Democrats, but I'm actually seeing it not only from Democrats now. And I'm seeing things like people saying, if you didn't vote then, you're just as bad as the people who support Trump, and everything that he's doing to trans people is your fault and your privilege, and you don't really care about minorities, or you don't care about everything going on if you didn't vote. And here's the thing. I think a lot of these people, they do actually know, because they're acting surprised and they're acting like, how could people not have voted? How could people have seen the other candidates just as bad as Trump? And they're acting confused by this, and they're acting like, how could they possibly not have voted for the alternatives? And I think that they actually know why, though, because the reason why is because 1/3 of the U.S. saw what the U.S. government was doing to Palestine, saw and paid attention to what the people in power were doing the last 4 years under Biden. I truly believe that the same people who didn't vote are the people who were actually paying attention to what our government has been doing in Palestine, in Congo, in Sudan. I think the same people who didn't vote genuinely do not believe in this government as reflecting the people, as caring about the people, as being reflective of the common people. And I don't think that the people who didn't vote were doing so without due reason. I think a lot of the people who didn't vote, since it was literally 1/3 of the US population, all had a reason for that. I don't think it was just random, or this thing to be shocked over, or this thing to lump people in with Trump supporters over. I think that it is a form of resistance to this government. And I think that it's really cruel to just lump everyone who didn't vote in with Trump supporters, because I can guarantee a lot of the people who didn't vote are other transgender people, are other marginalized people. And also, I just keep thinking about, are you seriously going to expect Palestinian and Muslim Americans to vote for which person in power gets to genocide Palestinians? Because none of the candidates were really being straightforward about that or clear about that, if they were going to actually do anything to stop that. And $8 billion was spent by Biden to specifically war munitions to the to Israel to continue to harm Palestinians, with U.S. taxpayer dollars going to bombing Palestinians. And I think that people paying attention to that don't trust our government, don't see ourselves in it, and don't believe anymore that it cares about any of us. And it's not nihilistic. It's not just giving up. It is literally resistance. It's resisting and no longer trusting in this government to do things for us, to take care of us, or to protect us, or to be in our interests. And yes, I have lost rights, and I have lost privileges, and I have lost things within this last week, even, being a transgender person in the USA. But here's the thing. I really sincerely and genuinely don't think that the same people saying that, oh, well, if you didn't vote, you don't care about trans people. The trans people saying that, they don't give a shit about trans people like me who didn't vote. They don't. They don't give a shit about us. And also, they don't give a shit about what's happening in Palestine. They don't see how it's connected to our oppression. They don't see how it's connected to what's happening in the USA right now. And it's just being treated as this us versus them thing of, well, if the choice is vote to maintain our rights and privileges in this system, or don't vote as resistance to a government that is literally funding the genocide of all these different peoples, then I'm going to choose to put off my systemic genocide versus caring about this other genocide. But what they're not seeing is all of these genocides are fucking connected. And it's all fucking connected. And so to me, it's like, if you're seriously gonna be like, oh, you're the problem, you're the enemy, to someone like me living in fucking poverty, where 80% of my demographics are unemployed, because 80% of autistic people are already unemployed. 85%, actually. It went up 5% since COVID. You're gonna be telling me, as someone who lives in poverty, who has friends who have struggled with homelessness before, who has had to fight for everything that I fucking have, you're gonna tell me that I'm the fucking problem because I didn't vote between genocidists, all of which are literally funding the death of children in another country, and you're gonna tell me that my rights and privileges under the system have to come at the cost of those people's blood. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not okay with that. I can't see that as morally okay. I can't see that as justified. I can't see that as an acceptable cost. And I can't see that as, frankly, anything else but selfish. And I think it's dishonest. It's dishonest to it's just fucking dishonest. It's not being honest about the shit that's going on in this world. And I think it's one of the biggest things that's putting Gen Z at odds with, like, millennials and up, is that all these people keep fucking telling my generation to buy the lie, like how they bought it, that this fucking government gives a shit about any of us, and that if we just buy out and vote and do whatever, then things are going to get better. And they're acting like it's going to be over in 4 years, when no, there's no fucking time limit on genocide. There's no fucking time limit on fascism. All of these problems are not problems that can just be fixed with, like, ticking a certain box on a piece of paper. And I think it's incredibly dishonest to act like this. That's what this is. And if you just talk to your representatives and things are going to get better. And it's like the same people saying that are people who are making more money than I'm ever going to see. When it's LGBT people saying that, it's people who are in positions of privilege much higher than me, where they have more money than me, where they have support systems, where they have a fucking house or people to take care of them, or a spouse, or whatever the fuck it is. The last person to get upset at me the most recent time has a fucking Netflix special. She's a black trans woman with a Netflix special, and she's gonna fucking tell me, as a trans guy living in poverty, that I'm the problem with this country because I didn't vote between fucking genocidists. And it's like, here's the thing, as bad as things are right now for transgender people like me, as bad as shit is, with our existence being written out in an executive order and all this other shit going on, and not being able to have who we are on our, like, passports and crap if we get that changed, I'm sorry, but that's not as bad as being in a fucking hospital getting bombed. That's not as bad as being literally fucking murdered in the street for being Palestinian. Like, the shit going on over there, they are starving them to death. They are bombing them to fucking death, using our taxpayer dollars of US citizens to fund active genocide. And yes, there is a systemic genocide going on towards trans people that affects me directly and every other trans person in this country. Yes, our existence is being made illegal. Yes, there's a lot of fucking shit going on, but they're not fucking rounding us up and killing us yet. They